Welcome back to Golf Quest, everyone. Today is an exciting episode. Here in Canada, we're still in winter, but soon winter's finally going to pass away and we're going to move into spring, and spring means golf. And with golf, for those of us who are serious at improving our games, it means setting some goals and then striving to achieve those goals. Sometimes we hear goals of, man, I want to break 100, or I want to break 90, or I consistently want to shoot in the 80s. And those are good things, and I think all golfers who are trying to aspire to get better at one point or another set those kind of goals. But goals should be more than that, especially if we want them to be effective for progressing. When we set goals to try to improve at something, studies have shown that the best kind of goals are high, obtainable, and specific. So that's the kind of goal that we want to set for ourselves when we go out onto a golf course. So saying, I just want to shoot in the 80s today, that's not always going to cut it to actually help us improve. Before we go any further with our goal setting for golf, one of my personal goals is to grow this channel, and I can't do that without your help. All you have to do to help me out is hit that little red subscribe button in the corner. It's free, it really helps me out, and it encourages me to keep producing more content like this for you to help us grow our golf game together. Okay, so let's get started on how to set a good goal for a specific golf course. So I want you to think about the next golf course you're gonna play. Specifically, which one are you playing? Because every target score is going to be different based on the golf course that you're playing. Sometimes a course is a lot easier to shoot in the 80s or the 90s than another course. And we want to make sure that when we're going to a course, we kind of have that information so we can set reasonable expectations for ourselves. High expectations, but still obtainable. That's the key. We're going to use a number called a course handicap that differs for every individual person. Now, if you're already familiar with course handicaps, this isn't going to be the whole story that I talk about. It's going to be the big portion of it, but we're going to take that course handicap and we're going to tweak it just a little bit at the end to set a reasonable goal for ourselves. Now, a course handicap is not the same as your handicap index, which is your individual handicap. A handicap index is needed, though, in order to set a course handicap. So, if you don't know what your handicap is, you're not going to be able to go through the process that I'm going to outline today. And if you are serious about improving at golf and you haven't started keeping track of your scores and establishing a handicap, I really encourage you to do that. There are so many free apps out there that track it and do it for you that really there's no good reason not to do it if you're a golfer that's serious about improving. I personally use the Grint to track my scores, but again, there are many out there that work. Just choose one to log your scores, stick with it, and very quickly you're going to establish a handicap index for yourself. You have to understand that your handicap index, once established, isn't what you would expect to shoot every time, but rather it is a measure of your potential scoring ability. So it's a measure kind of your better scores, not of your worst moments. Now, when I left off in the fall, my handicap index was kind of ballooning. We talked about this in the introduction video, and I left off at 13.6. So that's one piece of information you're gonna need in order to set this goal. There's two other pieces of information you're gonna need, and you're gonna be able to find these on your course scorecard. And if you don't have your course scorecard, you can almost always look them up online now. So head over to the course website, find their scorecard, and you're gonna look for two numbers. You're gonna look for the course rating and the course slope. Now, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time diving into what these numbers mean. They can be confusing for some golfers, but essentially they mean this. The course rating is what a scratch golfer would typically shoot on this course. A scratch golfer is just someone who typically shoots even par. So if par is 72, and the course rating is 72, that is typical. That is, okay, a scratch golfer is gonna shoot even par on this course. If the rating is lower than 72, that means this course is a little bit easier for that scratch golfer. If it's higher than 72, this course is a difficult course. It's playing harder, and even a scratch golfer is going to expect to shoot one or two over par depending on the rating. So that's course rating. Now, slope is a little more confusing, but essentially it is a measure for a bogey golfer, a golfer that typically would shoot 1 over on each hole or plus 18 at the end of a round. Slope, though, is relative to the course rating. So as the slope increases, the course becomes more and more difficult for the bogey golfer. Now, just as an interesting side note, if you're wondering kind of how slope works, think of it this way. The average slope for a course or average difficulty for a bogey golfer is 113. For every 6 degrees of slope higher than 113, a bogey golfer is going to add a stroke to his or her score. So if the slope is 119, a bogey golfer is going to get 1 more stroke added for their course handicap. If the slope is 125, they're going to get another stroke added to their course handicap. And again, that's different if your handicap isn't 18 and you're not a bogey golfer, but for a bogey golfer, that's essentially how it works. Oh, and there's one other thing you're gonna need off that scorecard. That is what's par for the course that you're playing that day. So in total, you need 4 numbers: your handicap index, the course rating, the course slope, and par for the course. Once you have these numbers, it's a pretty simple calculation. You're gonna start with your handicap index, and you're gonna multiply your handicap index by the slope rating divided by 113, which again is average slope. Then you're gonna take the course rating and subtract par and add that number to the end to establish your course handicap. Now, if you don't want to remember this calculation and you think, wow, that's too much, I'm never going to remember that, good news, there are websites that do this for you. One of them is the USGA site at usga.org. Once you get to the site, you have to click on a few things in order to get to the course handicap calculator, but I put a direct link in the description below. So if you're interested in finding that website, just go ahead to the description, click on it after this video, and you can go ahead and play with it. Bookmark it on your phone so it's there for easy access. And you don't even need to do the calculation. All you have to do is put the numbers that I've told you about into the system, and it's gonna spit out the number for you. So let's do a real life example. I'm gonna use the scorecard off of a website from a course that's pretty local to me called Dragon's Fire. This is a great little course. I've played it a few times now, and I really enjoy it. So I take a look at the scorecard. When I play Dragon's Fire, I typically will play from the white tees that have a yardage of 6,161 yards. Now you should note that slope and rating change based on the tee that you're playing from. So make sure you're getting the right slope and rating here. And as you can see from the white tees, the slope at Dragon's Fire is 123 and the rating is 69.2. Par is 72. So now to find my course handicap, I'm gonna take my personal handicap index of 13.6. I'm gonna take the slope of the course, which is 123, and I'm gonna divide that by 113. Then I'm gonna multiply that answer by my handicap index of 13.6. Next, I'm gonna add the course rating and I'm gonna subtract par. When I do this, I'm gonna round up and I'm going to see that my course handicap for Dragon's Fire is 12. And you can see if I use the USGA online calculator, I get the exact same answer. Now I'm gonna take that course handicap and I'm gonna add it to par. So I'm gonna take 72, I'm gonna add 12, giving me a total of 84. So now that I have this 84 number, I know that if I play up to my potential, I am probably going to shoot around 84. But again, I don't think that's the whole story, just the course handicap, because there's other factors at play here. So I would start with this number that we established with our course handicap, but then I would tweak it a little bit. All things considered, mid-season, I'm trying to improve, I would actually drop that number by 1. Again, we want a high but obtainable goal. So I'd be heading into Dragon's Fire mid-season form, nice day, trying to shoot 83. That would be my target score. However, let's say it's at the beginning of the season. I haven't played golf all year and this is my first time out. I'm not going to expect to play up to my potential. So I'm gonna take a couple strokes off. Maybe I'm gonna adjust it 1 or 2 strokes up so that 84 becomes an 85 or an 86. In reality, it's probably even higher than that my first time out. I'm just happy to be out, get the body swinging. But again, you can see what I'm doing. I'm taking the course handicap number and I'm adjusting it slightly. What if it's windy that day? What if it's calling maybe for intermittent rain or a storm's gonna roll in? These all factor in and make the course harder than just what those numbers display. So again, if it's a really windy day, take your course handicap target and add a stroke or 2 to establish. But do this before you start playing, not after your round. Do it before so you have something to shoot for. And then at the end of your round, you can reflect and see how you did. Now, by the way, a lot of people will tell you that one good idea is to take these numbers and break them up over the course. Don't just have one number to shoot for overall and say, and I'm really trying to shoot 84 today. But rather go, okay, well, if I'm trying to shoot 84 today, that's 12 strokes over par. I have 12 strokes to play with. I'm gonna take those 12 strokes and I'm gonna break them up into 3 hole segments. And I'm gonna set mini goals for the first 3 holes, a mini goal for the next 3 holes, and so on. That way, if you have a blow up hole or you have one bad hole, you just are able to put that aside and go, okay, what's my goal for the next 3 holes? But again, I think to do this effectively, you need to start with your course handicap as an overall target, adjust it appropriately, and then use that number to set goals for those 3 hole segments. So this is a strategy that I'm gonna be using in the upcoming season. I can't wait to get out there and set some goals and see how all this sim practice pays off. Once again, one of the goals for me too is this channel growth. So if you can help me out by hitting subscribe, hit the like button, that would be awesome. It's appreciated. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time on Golf Quest.